share with you guys a project we've been working on for about 2.5 years called the NYSTEAMBus. It started as a dream, a simple concept. What if we could fit an entire classroom inside the walls of a school bus?
Hi, I'm Rohan, and let me tell you, it was not as easy as it sounds. From initial sketches to CAD models to finally a solar-powered teaching-ready bus, it's been quite the ride, pun intended.
I'm Haley. For this project, everyone has a different role and we all contribute different things. I specifically work on writing lesson plans and overseeing the execution of those lesson plans. Our team wouldn't work without all of us putting 100% effort into what we do and listening to each other's ideas, no matter how wild they may be.
In the fall of 2016, I was an energetic 8th grade student with huge dreams and probably even bigger voice cracks, not gonna lie. But one day, Mr. Adamo asked to talk to me outside of class, which, by the way, is rarely a good thing. But what he ended up telling me was quite far from what I was expecting. He told me to make a team of students that I thought were talented at science, engineering, art. And he didn't tell me why, because that would be too obvious, of course. He just gave me that order and gave me a meeting place. And so our adventure begins.
So obviously you can't have a project at this scale without a complete team. So along with Haley, Jacob, and I, our whole team works together to create every aspect of the STEAMBus experience. Each member has a specialty. For example, Christine and Sarah's design skills helped them design our website, and that Jeffrey initially built with his programming skills. And Haley's education skills have helped her develop lessons for our students.
If you go to our website, NYSTEAMBus, you will see a professional page with logos made by our very own team, specifically Lauren and Aiden. As you can see, our team wouldn't work without everyone on it. And according to our website, there's no STEAM without a team.
And while we're on the topic, if we could just take a second to recognize this amazing group of students behind me. We're here presenting, but they're every bit a part of this project, so let's give them a round of applause.
So when we first heard Mr. Adamo and Mr. Wolfert's idea, we thought they were crazy. I mean, how could you get a team of 8th graders to pull together, essentially from scratch, a solar-powered teaching-ready bus where we would be running the sessions? He showed us this idea, which was far from executable, but we worked on it a lot.
But designing a bus isn't good for anybody unless you have money.
So our first plan was to apply for a grant from Honda. I mean, it seemed pretty perfect. They're a car manufacturer. We wanted the bus. I didn't really know what else they wanted, but...
So we really wanted to win this grant. So starting with some simple sketches, we further developed our ideas, piling on activities, projects, and more to make it the best experience for the students. And so we created this CAD model and video walkthrough to make the project more tangible.
And I think this is something like Rohan's 12th draft of this bus. We kept on telling him to change little things, and it's quite incredible. So, good job, buddy. So while we're all very willing to spend hours and hours and hours making CAD models and dreaming away, we were a lot less really willing to write. But that's a pretty big part of the grant process. It seemed silly to write for a project that seemed so far from fruition. But we did it anyway.
This was one of the first times we'd written something that wasn't for school, and it was pretty meaningful.
We quickly came to see that we were all here for a reason. Rohan for technology things, Jacob for organizing the project, and myself and Katie because we really wanted to be teachers. Ever since I was young, I felt I was meant to be a teacher. Mr. Adamo clearly saw this in me, and I am so grateful that he did. And it became clear to everyone involved that their part in this project was important. The opportunities that the bus has given all of us are immense, and our goal is to share those opportunities with others. One thing we did early on was attend a professional development session with Neotech the Northeast Advanced Technological Education Center.
We definitely received some pretty confused looks when 10 8th graders walked into a PD clinic, but we learned a lot and we walked away feeling even more confident.
Everything was going great. We were all excited, but you know, life happens. It was quite an experience. I don't know if it was our $75,000 budget or our 8th grade writing. Probably a little bit of both. But after working with Mr. Wolford and Mr. Adamo for almost a year at this point, we kind of saw that giving up at this point wasn't really an option. So we kept working anyway.
So we learned a thing or two from our first attempt. First was that we should only ask for what we need, and most of the time people will give you more.
And on top of logistical things, we learned that confidence is quite a bit more like chocolate cake than we might like to admit. It's great, but only in moderation.
So our next plan was to start writing to companies and organizations asking for partnerships.
And before we started asking companies for money, we had to make our budget slightly more reasonable, because $75,000 is a lot of money. So we brought it down to a measly $35,000.
And it turns out that our local community was way more willing to offer us money than a $50 billion car company.
While $35,000 is less than $75,000, it's still not zero. We wrote letters to local companies identifying how our program helps to further their mission statements, so we further developed our ideas for the project.
And that's when things got really interesting. We got a call saying that we were fully funded. I was truly shocked with disbelief and excitement. We had worked on this project for almost a year at this point, and the Daily Foundation had stepped in to help us reach our startup goal. It was amazing.
Now we waited for the only thing we still needed, a bus.
Seeing the bus for the first time was among the most surreal experiences of my life. Seeing something so tangible from your work is immensely satisfying.
We were all thrilled to get working, and Mr. Adamo and Mr. Wolford were no exception. So from there came the task of retrofitting the bus. We worked from July to September installing flooring, cabinets, computers, and more, and learning how to be interviewed. Mr. Lento and all of the people at the facilities garage were extremely helpful, and they supplied us with material, time, resources, and more than anything else, guidance as we started our retrofit.
What you see here is our final retrofitted bus with a wrapped exterior. But what you don't see is Emma learning how to use a jigsaw, or Rohan literally ripping the stop sign off the side of the bus with an angle grinder.
A large portion of us were at the garage constantly over the past year. Whether it was Columbus Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, or January Regents Week, we were there. When it was negative degrees outside, we were there. Any free day we had, we were there. The amount of work put into transforming this bus was well worth it. I mean, look at it. It looks pretty great. We have a fully functioning STEAM mobile classroom inside of a bus that we built with lots of help from many other people and companies. And if you want to see it up close, right out those doors.
One of our biggest company sponsors was Monolith Solar. So they were generous enough to provide us with an array of flexible solar panels and the power system to go along with our bus. Not only was this system costly, it was completely custom to our unique situation, and they helped us make it a reality, from design to implementation. They even invited us to a nearby solar farm to see how solar is implemented on a large scale. Monolith really let us be a part of this installation, and you can see here Jacob up there using a heat gun to stick these panels to the roof of our bus.
These pictures, that's our goal. Coming from a school like Niskayuna, where were all given wonderful opportunities to flourish. We wanted to share those opportunities in a unique way. Thanks to the support from so many partners, we have technology and systems that many classrooms don't have. We have written lesson plans using that technology, and the outcome is amazing. Going to schools with things like OZABots or Snap Circuits, we get to work with your students on something that a teacher isn't expected to teach or doesn't have the resources to do so.
After going to our first school, we saw right away the spark in students' eyes. Their faces lit up whenever they got to work on robots or literally anything like this. But you can imagine what their faces were like when they saw Mr. Wolfert pushing Mr. Adamo down the hallway while wearing a Spider-Man mask in a kiddie car. And I promise you, that's weirder to say than it is to hear.
Our mission is to inspire kids to see the possibilities outside of a normal classroom, to spark their interest in new things, and to spread knowledge for the future generations of students in a fun and explorative way.
And on top of working with younger students, we wanted this to be an opportunity for older students to lead and teach and share their passion with this younger audience. And in the long run, helping them love the lessons that you give to your students each day.
As you can see, everyone's hard work really paid off. None of us could have imagined how well it turned out, and now we have a fully functioning science, technology, engineering, art, and math classroom on wheels.
Over the past couple months, we have introduced coding to every first grader in our district. We have introduced basic electronics to almost every fourth grade student, and we are currently in the process of traveling to every third grade classroom with coding and robotics. Totaling all of our lessons between November 19th and yesterday, we have already worked with over 1,000 students in Niskayuna and Schenectady.
With every classroom that we visit, it's always amazing to see how excited kids get about STEAM. No matter the age, they take the project and they make it theirs. They're always thrilled to take challenges from a different angle, and they don't mind struggling, and knowing that failure is an inevitable step on the path towards success.
You can see here some of our feedback. We like to ask for it after every visit so we can help grow and refine our program. We've gotten lots of amazing responses from teachers, and it seems like everyone's really loving what we're doing.
We have dozens of lessons in the works with our partners at Neotech and have incorporated 21st century skills such as nanotechnology, environmental science, programming, robotics, electrical engineering, and general intellectual curiosity into an enthusiastic young audience.
And if we take nothing away from this project, we have learned the significance of scientific and intellectual curiosity and inspiring students to pursue their passion in a productive way. And although this project was initially about inspiring youth to enter STEM fields, after writing grants, designing logos, websites, videos, you start to see how important the arts truly are to 21st century success. And we're about 30 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. And we're interested in bringing science, technology, engineering, art, and math education to as many students as we possibly can. Please talk to any of the students on this list. We love talking about our passion just as much as you're willing to listen.
Great, and let's take this opportunity to thank so many people in our district who have truly made this happen. We've been able to work with so many people who we would have never met had it not been for this project, and we're so thankful for your time, resources, and effort.
And as we wrap up, we wanted to show you what a typical morning looks like on the New York STEAMBus. But first, we'd love for you to follow us on our social medias. Emma and her team just published our first newsletter. It's right on the right. And I think it's pretty awesome, so if you want to take a look at it. And we hope to see you all very soon. Thank you.
See how there's a difference when you do stuff in parallel?
Thank you so much for your time. This was truly a pleasure. And like I said earlier, the bus is right outside, so please come to us, talk to us about any of your questions, concerns, whatever have you. Have a great day.